Fantastic Four First Steps tickets are already on sale. Now, even though Avengers Doomsday comes out next year, is Fantastic Four a do or die for Marvel? So the question is, even with Avengers Doomsday coming out, does Fantastic Four First Steps need to be a box office hit for Marvel?
It has to. It has to be. It has to 100%. And the reason is, people have kind of, I think, largely lost a lot of faith. There's a lot of complaints and people just, their opinions are just negative towards a lot of Marvel movies. Whether we think they're good or not, people are still complaining. The Thunderbolts we saw twice, but still, like, because of the numbers, the numbers that it's been doing so far, people are still complaining and they're still just largely negative about it. Like,
yeah, I see it. The Marvel movies aren't making a tons of money, like almost $1 billion, like it did in Phase 3. And a part of that is many contributing factors, like strikes and the pandemic and that stuff. And
the cost of production. I mean, the cost of taking a family of 4 to see the movie and then, get popcorn and not sneak candy in, because nobody does that, right? It's expensive. It is expensive, and I get that. And one of the things we did discuss, is we keep in mind that the production budgets are really high. So we see a movie that seems like it's doing well on paper, reportedly, right? Yeah. And then they're like, well, it has to get to X number in order for it to be profitable. Well, under any other circumstances, that amount of income for that movie would have been fantastic, right? But, no, it's not. It's not good enough because, whatever Marvel does is never good enough anyways. Right?
So it does need to be, and I think it has to be great because, one, you need people to get hyped for Avengers Doomsday. They are hyped about it, but you want to get fans talking about something.
Now, I did see something interesting. I saw a little, like, a screenshot, and granted, I don't know how accurate it is, but it's Nathaniel Richards as a baby. Right?
Yeah, I think that was in the.
But they're setting it up as him being a powerful character, right? So I think in their little way, they're kind of giving us little, like, snippets and stuff like that, like, And if you've ever been familiar with, like, any, like, comic related stuff or anything like that, seeing that baby, being a thing in MCU, that's crazy. I was commenting on somebody's post this morning. I'm like, man, dude, this is so exciting, because that right there is like that right there is the hype, right? But how do they get that hype without Avengers being, or without Fantastic Four being good? How do they get that to the average movie watcher?
Well, here's the thing. I feel like comic book nerds, fans of the MCU, they're gonna go see this movie. But the thing that
did you just call me a nerd?
The thing that Marvel has to focus on and key on is getting the casual fans interested in going to see this movie.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four does not have a good track record with the Tim Story one and the Fantastic.
Okay. But when we were kids, right? Like, you would have had to have been around when Fantastic Four, the first couple of movies came out with Jessica Alba and all that in it. Like, you would have had to have been around and then grew up and then went back and watched them to have an appreciation for them, because I can promise you, if you watch them right now and you haven't seen them for 20 years or so, you're gonna watch that movie and be like, "Oh my goodness!" And I used to think this was good. That's crazy.
It did have success. It did have success
for the time. Yeah.
It had success, but Rise of the Silver Surfer left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth.
Yeah.
And then when they tried to reboot it with Michael B. Jordan and all of them, that movie was a disaster.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I never watched that one.
You never watched it?
I didn't.
I tortured myself.
Out of the loop. I was out of the loop for superhero stuff at that time.
No, you're fine. Just keep it that way. Like, save your sanity and never see that movie again.
That's fair.
But what the level of success is going to be, can you get casual audience members or just casual fans to go see this movie?
The one other thing they have going for them is, unlike, like Thunderbolts, right? The Fantastic Four is a name that people recognize because it's like one of the bigger names, the first family of Marvel, right? People that are even not even comic book fans, just have seen something related to, I don't know, The Thing or something, or older folks that saw the show back in the 60s or whatever it was, right? It's that's a name people recognize, so maybe they'll be able to use that to an advantage. Like, oh, it's a Fantastic Four, and maybe there's a lot of people that were like me that skipped out on comic book movies for a couple of years there, whatever, when the saturation was really, really high, and didn't see the last one. They're like, oh, I haven't seen one in years, oh, Silver Surfer, well, that's cool. Yeah, I always liked the Silver Surfer, whether they know the comic book stories, whether they haven't watched a movie for, the past 2 decades or whatever the case may be, the Fantastic Four name being attached to it, I think that draws in a lot of people. So that just means that they have to perform. Like, it has to perform to not, ruin all those people that are now coming to see that project.
I feel like this movie has to do several things in order for it to be successful. One, it needs to bring. I'm sorry, and I'm not one to do this. It needs to bring in $500 million, like $500 million or more. It needs to do that. It needs to have, and then that means if they do that, that means other people outside the fandom are interested in going to go see the movie. Like you said, Franklin Richards. A lot of people don't know who Franklin Richards is. We know, and it's exciting for us, but how can you convey that to other people that aren't fans to get excited about that? And then
I just keep telling people to go reread Secret Wars. 2015 Secret Wars.
Well, yeah, but casual audiences, they're just not going to do that.
It's on YouTube. You can look. There's some listen, Comics Explained, any of those guys like that. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, but the average moviegoer isn't going to go see it.
Well, yeah.
Or isn't going to go read it.
They isn't going to read it. But then, also, who they chose as Reed Richards is Pedro Pascal. That's a household name now. Dude's done everything.
That's me. You are both in agreement. We just don't know about the cast. We just don't know. But a part of why they chose Pedro is probably because he's a
big name right now.
Yeah, it's a huge name right now.
Yes. And that's like I told you before, the character they chose for Johnny Storm, and actually, funny enough, I did go back and look at casting and stuff too. I do believe that the lady that they chose for Sue, I do believe she fits the role pretty well.
Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah. So I do believe she does fit the role well. I was questionable about Pedro Pascal on casting, so we'll see how it goes. I do enjoy in some of his other roles and stuff like that, so I do enjoy that. But those were the two I was in question about, was Johnny Storm and Reed Richards. But I'm honestly willing to temper my expectations and just see the movie and just see it for what it is, without being like, oh, this has to be so good, it has to be so much better. I'm looking for cohesiveness. I'm looking for, not even maybe character development to a degree, because they're reintroducing these characters into the main Marvel universe, and what I'm looking for is tie-ins. Like, are they going to mention something with Doom again? It
has to lead, whether it's a post-credit scene or something like within the movie, it has to lead into that. I know, because between this movie and Avengers Doomsday is this movie, Spider-Man, and Doomsday. A lot of other stuff got pushed or knocked off the schedule, so they have a streamlined focus into going into this movie to Doomsday.
In mild spoiler, the post-credit scene for the Thunderbolts was a ship flying through space with a Fantastic Four logo on it. That, like you said, the big name character, tie-ins or announcements, small characters and things like that are being introduced. The post-credit scene for Thunderbolts, if you stayed long enough to see it, with having the Fantastic Four logo on it, the fact that it is the Fantastic Four, the pressure for them to make this movie great is high. Like this movie, there's no other choice. It has to perform, or else they're basically hurting themselves by not letting it do what it's going to do.
All right, let's just talk about it then. What if this movie fails? Where do they go from there? If this movie doesn't live up to its expectations, you can probably already pencil Spider-Man in for $1 billion, because it's Spider-Man. If Spider-Man is going to do well.
If this movie fails, then between now and the next 4 to 5, 6 months maybe, there's going to be a bunch of leaks for Doomsday is what's going to happen.
Oh, they're going to leak it themselves.
There's going to be a bunch of leaks, and it's going to be like, oh, look at this character, and more announcements to more additional characters and things like that. Now, if this movie performs well, then they might not have to, there might not be all those leaks. You know, so that's kind of what I'm seeing. Like I think they're fighting an uphill battle, but the hill is going to get so much steeper if this movie doesn't perform. You know,
if this what made the end of the Infinity Saga so well is because it did a great job getting us excited for Thanos coming. Thor ended with Thanos' ship appearing right there.
Yes.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, even though that was after Avengers: Infinity War, boom, got snapped. Okay, what happens then? It got us ready for Endgame. They have so much work to do because we haven't had any of that. So a lot of the baggage is going to rest on this film to do what a lot of other movies should have been doing in the first place. Yeah, we did get that scene in the Thunderbolts at the end, but they just shot that scene. That's like new. That wasn't in principal photography when they were doing the movie.
Right.
They just filmed it. I believe like a month before the movie came out.
It was a solid. Honestly, that was a solid.
It was great. But if they had the Russo brothers filmed that scene, so my thing is, if they had just filmed that scene, what are they doing? Why is it taking so long to lead up to this? We haven't seen Shang-Chi. I mean, yeah, we've seen the Marvels and the post-credit scene for the Marvels where Monica ended up in the X-Men universe. Still don't know anything about that, and not a lot of people saw the Marvels. They probably have now since it's on Disney Plus, but this movie has to do so much legwork, and that's what's kind of frustrating because I don't agree with a lot of people when they say, yeah, the MCU has been terrible since Endgame. I don't believe that at all. But at the same time, when there's been no Avengers movies, there's been not really any team-ups besides the Marvels, and there's so many unanswered questions now. This movie has the weight of the entire...
Well, they went from an oversaturation to maybe an undersaturation, roughly, right? But I think after this movie, then I think I'll have a better idea of maybe where they're going with it. Because clearly they're thinking about how they're going to structure things by shooting that scene and throwing it in there. You know, clearly that's on their minds. You know, and from what we saw in the first few phases, I mean, I have trust that they'll be able to make something cohesive work. And, you know, I can't, that's just that'd be another example of me saying like, oh, it's just going to be trash just for the sake of saying it's trash. You know, and I can't rightfully do that because of the magic they gave us on the first couple of phases.
I just don't want it to feel, the worst thing that this film can do is make everything felt rushed. The worst thing it can do is we just go from pacing, 0 to 100. It needs to, you know, the pace. It needs to be kind of a little bit of fast pace or whatever, but it needs to be cohesive. And to get us, we don't need a bunch of information all at once, but it needs to set up something.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested in it, but there's a heavy load to bear, you know, as far as this movie goes. But I'm interested in it, you know, and if it does do well, then that just lightens their load moving forward, you know. But I mean, yeah.
Here's the ultimate question: are you getting a popcorn bucket? Are you getting the 17 brother, and a half by 20 inch popcorn
I'm buying the Jurassic World popcorn bucket. I don't know that I need a Galactus head.
It's way bigger than this. It's what it is.
I know.
It's huge.
I know.
Who's gonna eat all of that anyway?
My kids is the answer, but yeah. I don't know. It looks cool, you know, and I do like the photos and stuff like that they've showed us of Galactus. I feel like they did a nice job on that.
Oh, and that's another thing. Yeah, it all depends on the villain. Like if they hit with Galactus, which it looks like they are, I believe Mole Man's gonna be in here. Yeah. If they hit with the villains, the movie has to. It has to be.
Yeah. Introducing Galactus though it's kind of a cheat code because there's only one of two possibilities that can actually happen, right? He either eats the planet or he goes away in peace, you know. So it's we
don't want peace, destruction.
No,
I want destruction.
He didn't mind the peace, you know. At different instances in the story, he was fine with it. He left willingly at least one time, you know. So if that's the storyline they decide to go with, or they try to adapt that, that'd be cool.
That would be another Dormammu. I've come to bargain.
I don't know. He was at weapon point when he left, so it wasn't necessarily peaceful, but it was out of mutual respect for Reed Richards. So,
all right. So the verdict is, this movie
has to perform.
It has to perform.
Yeah.
All right. Let us know everything that you guys think about the Fantastic Four. Are you excited? But most importantly, are you going to get the popcorn bucket? We need to know.
It's this big.
And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Subscribe for more headlines throughout the week, games, and 60-second reviews.